they can make this an embarrassing headache for Trump domestically in the United States. With the midterms coming up, the Democrats will punish Trump in the media while average Americans voice their complaints via social media, especially if gas prices soar 2 to 4 times their current prices. And if Iran manages to damage or sink an aircraft carrier, it will humiliate Trump and America's reputation in a way the world has simply never witnessed before.
I want to take a look at is from our good friend Ahmed at Propaganda & Co. You're not subscribed to his YouTube channel, definitely go and do it because he's pumping out amazing work, okay? But this is a video about how the USA and Iran will, in fact, fight this war, in particular, how the Iranians aim to defend their assets, their air defense systems, and wage hybrid warfare against asymmetrical warfare against the United States.
Has demonstrated how China has helped Iran quickly plug the gaps in their air defense, electronic warfare, and missile guidance capabilities. Israel and the US are going into this telling the public that Iran's air defenses have been completely destroyed. Just like their claims about Iran's nuclear facilities, this has been exposed as a total lie. Iran's air defenses were exposed, humiliated, and weakened, but they were not destroyed. And in the time since the war, Iran has worked rigorously to plug gaps in the layers of air defense, implement new tactics, and defend against cyber warfare. For example, there is satellite imagery showing trenches dug around air defense systems where crews can remain separated from the launchers themselves. This way, the crew can survive attacks. Nets have been placed above the launchers and radars to protect them from drone attacks or internal sabotage by Mossad agents.
So you understand Iran is learning a lot from the mistakes of the 12-Day War. In the 12-Day War, one of the biggest mistakes they had was not properly securing their air defense systems, and failing to do that, a lot of those internal Mossad agents were able to launch drones at the air defense systems, forcing Iran to make a decision. Do we keep the air defense systems out and try to intercept what we can, or do we put them back into storage for safekeeping and just take these missiles on the chin and hope to strike the fear of God and Israel as much and as quickly as possible to bring an end to this battle, which ended up being a pretty successful strategy.
Crew members have been trained to quickly react to a detection, launch a missile, then quickly dismount and relocate the air defense system to avoid a retaliatory attack by enemy aircraft or drones. Now I know what you're thinking, this doesn't seem special, but it is very different from how air defense crews were conducting their operations just 8 months ago during the 12-Day War. Iran is also implementing smaller ambush systems that use detection and guidance systems in short ranges that avoid detection by enemy aircraft. So instead of traditional air defense radar waves alerting an aircraft that it is being detected and locked onto, this system will identify and attack an enemy aircraft within a range of 50 kilometers, giving it just seconds to react to an incoming missile, using tools like laser and other kinds of technology to lock onto it without alerting it. And by using better electronic warfare equipment and Chinese systems for guidance and encrypted communication, it should be more difficult, if not impossible, for the US to carry out cyber warfare against.
Shout out Xi Jinping. And by the way, all these systems are integrated. The Russian, the Chinese air defense, radar, early detection warning systems, all integrated, and that is probably the main focus right now.
Iranian air defense systems or ballistic missiles during offensive operations. This, alongside the Russian-made S-300 and improvements made to Iran's more powerful air defense systems, should improve their ability to detect and intercept enemy aircraft. But the reality, however, is that the US is more advanced with more capabilities, which means these air defenses are going to take a hit regardless of whatever changes Iran has made. So Iran is not expecting to intercept every aircraft or come out of this unscathed. They know they are dealing with a juggernaut, so you should too. What they are hoping to do is to buy time for their missiles to actually launch in massive waves all across the region, from Israel to Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and the Gulf of Oman, where US bases and naval forces are stationed. They will aim to exhaust US air defense missile stockpiles and potentially take out their sophisticated radars that are responsible for detecting Iran's ballistic missiles for interception. If Iran can successfully do this, they will buy themselves time to draw this battle out into a prolonged asymmetric war of attrition. The point of this asymmetric war is to inflict humiliating damage to US naval forces, oil and gas energy prices, and most importantly, Trump's reputation. Iran.
Just think about it like this. There's so much hyperbolic talk about, will the Iranians sink a US aircraft carrier? Will they sink a warship? Will they do this, that, and the third? They don't even need to really do something of that magnitude. If 500 casualties are inflicted upon the U.S. military, that alone might be enough. 500, 300, 500, that alone might be enough to send the U.S. packing. I mean, How do you think Trump is going to respond when he sees his poll numbers collapsing, when he sees, the U.S. support falling off right before the midterm elections? Also, he's got FIFA coming up, the FIFA World Cup. He'll be absolutely humiliated. And at that point, he'll have to make a decision, either lock in and go all out or retreat.
Iran cannot win this war head on, but they can make this an embarrassing headache for Trump domestically in the United States. With the midterms coming up, the Democrats will punish Trump in the media while average Americans voice their complaints via social media, especially if gas prices soar 2 to 4 times their current prices. And if Iran manages to damage or sink an aircraft carrier, it will humiliate Trump and America's reputation in a way the world has simply never witnessed before. So what you need to understand is that America wants to win a decisive victory quickly. Iran needs to prolong the battle for as long as possible and maintain as many of their capabilities as possible in order to do that. And of course, Iran is still trying to avoid a war by demonstrating their capabilities. Last week, Iran gave a notice to all airmen, essentially a warning to every pilot in the sky that they would be testing a missile launch through their own airspace. Iran made sure to let the entire world witness this missile launch. Missiles were launched from deep within Iran's territory, traveling across the entire country, changing its trajectory and direction throughout the entire flight before striking in the Gulf of Oman. What Iran was demonstrating was that even if you destroy their air defenses or their ballistic missile launchers, they can and will still fire missiles that can change direction and use their terrain for cover as they make their way deep into the ocean in a swarm that could hit your aircraft carriers or other warships. They did this with the hopes of deterring the US and making
the U.S. method of war here, the reason why they have so many air assets, 50 to 60% of all deployable U.S. fighter jets, is because they want to very, very quickly take out the Iranian air defense systems. When we talk about a blowout strike, I mean, what does that actually look like? Does that mean going in and striking the supreme leader? Does that mean going in and striking the president and so on and so forth, IRGC command? I mean, it could be. Don't get me wrong. They've done it before. They'll do it again, right? They did that at the start of the 12-day war. They did that in Lebanon eventually, right? But what did they do in Lebanon first? The Israelis made a very concerted effort to strike all of, well, not, Hezbollah didn't have like a robust air defense system, but in Iran they do. So that's one thing that they'll be targeting and hitting very hard in these blowout strikes. But also, they are going to try and hit all of the missile launchers because it's somewhat easy to identify missile launchers, right? Somewhat easy to detect them, just like the Israelis were able to detect Iranian air defense systems. Somewhat easy to be detected. So the idea is to detect them and take them out before they can actually launch at any U.S. assets or before they can be moved away, launched and moved away. At least the U.S. is going to try and take those out because once you take those out, once you take the air defense systems out, obviously they're not going to get all of them, but they want to do as much damage as possible to basically leave Iran dry with nothing to defend themselves. Hezbollah has many missiles, but they are actually limited in how many missiles they can launch because they have lost so many launchers to IDF attacks. The problem is not their missile capacity, their production capabilities, their reserves, anything like that. The problem is the launchers, the amount of launchers they have. So that is what they are going to be hitting first.
Them think twice about starting this war. But this isn't just about Iran's ballistic missiles or cruise missiles capabilities. The IRGC Navy recently revealed the Haidar 110 fast vessel with a speed of 110 knots and the ability to fire anti-ship cruise missiles. 110 knots is about 203 kilometers an hour, which makes it the fastest operational military boat in the world. Can the US obliterate it? Of course. But can they do it before it launches anti-ship cruise missiles? This is what both sides are training for. And of course, Iran also has submarines. These submarines are powerful and dangerous.
This is where I get into a position of like, there's not much the U.S. can do because it's not just the submarines. I mean, yeah, the submarines are impressive for Iran. They are impressive. They do have the capability to do a lot of damage. They're close range submarines, the missiles that they fire. or torpedoes rather, but also Iran has a ton of speedboats. They have destroyers. They have, even more importantly, and this is probably going to be the most important asset for Iran if this does turn into a long-term war, something that doesn't need these robust launching systems, are the naval drones, regular drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as the naval mines, because that will absolutely shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and it will be shut down very quickly. And there's not much the U.S. can do to stop naval mines and naval drones. So the submarines are interesting, but I don't even think that's the biggest problem for the Americans.
Marines can fire JASC-2 anti-ship missiles that are fired while the vessel is submerged and has a range of up to 300 kilometers, and a possible supercavitation torpedo which reaches 360 kilometers an hour and is capable of causing immense damage, but has a range of just over 15 kilometers. Now, laugh all you want, but these submarines have taken photos of American ships from very close range without being detected. Iranian naval commanders have also given public interviews clarifying their capabilities, also revealing that they can deliver powerful punches in an asymmetric manner, even if America dominates them everywhere else. Iran also has very powerful drones that are comparable to US drones. Now, this may sound surprising to you, but it makes sense when you learn how Iran designed these drones in the first place, which they did by reverse engineering the drones that they captured from the United States. I toured Iran's Aerospace Museum and saw the intercepted US drones and the publicly known versions of Iranian drones myself, including their powerful air defense systems. So in short, Iran cannot go toe-to-toe with the US, but they should not be underestimated, especially when you understand what their capabilities are designed to do. Iran
And the idea here is that they're not trying to go toe-to-toe with the U.S. Air Force or the U.S. Navy. I mean, that would be ludicrous too. And he's not saying that, but he goes on to explain himself. But the goal is asymmetric warfare. The goal is to make this as painful, as costly as possible for the United States and for the proxy of Israel. That is the goal. And it's actually pretty achievable to do if you think about it. I mean, you don't need much to make this extremely costly, to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, to really cause a lot of problems for Israel, for Tel Aviv, for Haifa, to cause problems for U.S. naval assets with naval drones and naval mines. Also, this doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of one of the most important facets that is kind of like a last-ditch Hail Mary, but all of the allies that Iran has in the region. They often are called like Iranian proxies, but they're not proxies. These are sovereign states, sovereign people. These are sovereign entities that make decisions on their own right. Hezbollah in South Lebanon is one of them. You have Iraqi groups. I mean, you have Iraqi, Kataib, Hezbollah. You have so many, I can't even, but they have PMF. You have actually one of the most interesting developments over the past few days was that Sistani in Iraq, he said that if, in fact, Ayatollah Khamenei is targeted, right, if his life is threatened, it will be jihad against the United States and U.S. assets in the region. And why that is so important is because these young men in Iraq, when they were called to volunteer to fight ISIS in their country by Sistani, very powerful figure, less political, less militarily active than Khamenei, but still, very powerful. And it's even maybe, more interesting because when he is saying something that is related to military service or something that is political, everyone follows it that much closer because he doesn't address these things. They've got different sorts of ways in which they see the world and they view their position and they view their, I guess their religious position in their own countries. But when Sistani called on the young men of Iraq to fight against ISIS in the campaign, 2 million men volunteered within 24 hours to go fight ISIS. It was so many men that they had to reject the volunteers because they had too many people that were signing up. 2 million people in 24 hours. So you can imagine what would happen if Khamenei is targeted. You've also got Yemen, you've got Afghan support, you've got support all across the region. This would be an absolute nightmare for the United States, but it does appear to be where we are headed. Anyways, great video from Propaganda and Co. Go check out his channel. He does a ton of great work. A lot of the same issues that we talk about, but he goes into much more depth, I would say, and very well produced videos. So go check him out. I have an old interview I did with him when I was in Miami. That interview was very controversial. We get along, but I upset many of his friends, I think, when we did that interview. We talked about Bashar. We talked about the Uyghurs in China. We talked about a lot. There was a lot of red pills dropped in that conversation. Is that even still up on YouTube? Oh, that's such a shame. No way. I think it got taken down. You know what's so crazy? How many videos got taken down from like other accounts just because I went on people's channels when I was banned? That never happens to anyone, but for some reason, that happened to me. They like really hated me. That's why I always thought that YouTube would never unban me, but something changed. I don't know what it is. Yeah, that video is no longer there, I don't think. What a shame. No, you can still find it. There's like TikToks of it, and there's a bunch of stuff. I don't know why he removed that. I don't know if he deleted that or they took it down. Anyways, I still like Ahmed. I bet they took it down. They went so far. I interviewed Maria Zakharova, I did like a 40-minute interview with her, the spokeswoman of the Russian Foreign Ministry, and it was very professionally done, very, very good interview. Maybe I'll re-upload that. That'd be interesting. Maybe I'll re-upload that. Anyways, the Russian Foreign Ministry posted that on their own YouTube channel, and after like a year or 2 years of it being up, they YouTube deleted it. I had the link saved, and when you clicked on the link, it's like, YouTube has terminated this for violating its policies and whatnot. I'm like, wow, they're taking it. They'll allow like the president, the foreign minister, Lavrov, all of them could speak. But when I was on the channel, they took it down. How crazy is that? Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.